The Railroad is one of the main factions in Fallout 4, and when you get far enough in the main quest, you will need to find them. But you can actually find them earlier on if you'd like. Either one's fine. Your journey to find the Railroad actually begins at Boston Common, which is in a fairly dangerous section of downtown Boston. If you follow the edge of the park, you'll come across this fountain and maybe a tour guide robot. This first marker begins what's known in the game as the Freedom Trail, and it's designated either by red bricks lined up in a row or by red paint to mark where the red bricks have gone missing. At any rate, this is where your journey begins, and in the course of it, you'll come across 8 different markers, all of which have a certain letter painted, and that letter will be associated with a number. I'll go ahead and tell you that the letters in sequence spell out Railroad, and you'll see in just a moment why this becomes important. As far as I know, you don't need to go through the entire trail if you don't like. While you begin at Boston Common, you'll end at a church. I believe it's called the Old North Church. There's a statue of Paul Revere outside, and it's the very end of this trail. Now, be mindful if you snake through downtown Boston, there are a lot of enemies in these zones. There are actually some overlapping zones where super mutants and raiders will both be present. There are also, of course, feral ghouls to keep in mind and watch out for. But this is where you'll end up. This is the old church I mentioned earlier, and you simply walk in the front door. Once you're inside, it's not clear inside, although this is the headquarters of the Railroad. It's infested with ghouls, both in the main entrance and throughout the catacombs below. Here's the final marker, and painted next to the door, you'll see that Railroad sign. That's what you're going to want to follow to find the secret entrance. Now, I've already cleared this area and opened the entrance to the Railroad, but if you're fresh into this area, both in the upper balconies and throughout the main church area, as well as in these catacombs, there are going to be lots of ghouls that you'll have to deal with. So if you've made it this far, they're probably not a problem, but keep that in mind. At any rate, just follow those painted signs for the Railroad. It takes a little while to reach it, but before long you'll reach the obvious entrance. It's designated by a marker that you'll see in just a second. That marker is connected to wires, and as the historical markers throughout your journey along the Freedom Trail have indicated, you will need to write out Railroad. Now, I've already activated this so it doesn't function, but the principle is the same. You can either rotate clockwise or counterclockwise. It doesn't matter. Just do what you need to do to get to the letters. When you pick the letter, start with R, and then hit the central button. Once you've done that, move on to the next letter, an A, and so forth, just to spell out Railroad. Once you've done that, the secret door will open, and you'll find an entrance to an interior courtyard occupied by several members of the Railroad. The introductory dialogue begins there, and if you follow through with the missions they give you, you can become a member of the Railroad. So that's it. It's not necessarily that obvious if you weren't paying attention to the Freedom Trail during your playthrough, but at any rate, this is how you do it. And as far as I know, it's the only way to do it. So good luck, stay safe in downtown Boston, and enjoy becoming a member of the Railroad if you choose to do so. I will say, if you do become a member, at a certain point, you can get what's known as ballistic weave from Tinker Tom, which is among the very best upgrades to armor in the entire game. So I would recommend joining the Railroad, at least up to the point that you get that, as it's such an incredibly good upgrade, as you can get the ballistic weave on an undergarment over which you can wear armor. If you get the highest level of ballistic weave, you can get 110 physical and energy damage resistance on, say, a set of army fatigues. So it's truly awesome. I recommend you try it. Anyway, thanks for watching, and stay tuned in the future. I'll keep releasing videos.